Welcome everyone. This is Todd McPartlin, founder and author of iMarketing Leader. And I want to welcome everybody for being on this training. And if you're listening to this training, please join us on a weekly basis so we can get your questions answered. So you should be seeing my screen. It says please stand by right now. We're going to go ahead and get going. We have a lot to get through. So what is the title for today? The free, not so free traffic. This is all about search engine optimization, also known as SEO, probably one of the biggest buzzwords over the last 5 to 10 years in online marketing. A lot of this has been changing. It's changed dramatically in the last year or two, or last year basically, with a lot of changes that Google has made. So we'll go over some of those changes as I go through some of the slides. You'll see some of the. I'll make some comments on those, but really this is all about search engine optimization. And the reason I call it the free, not so free traffic is it does take either time or money to do these. So either you have the time and don't have the money, or you're going to actually pay a local marketing company like iMarketing Leader, for example, to do that for you. So at the end of the day, it is free. You don't pay for the clicks like you do in pay-per-click, but it does cost time or money. So those of you have seen a lot of my other webinars, we have our R4 marketing system with reputation at the bottom, reach, resell, and referral. Search engine optimization is all about reach. That second level up there, it's about finding new customers, clients, or patients. So this is actually the title of my chapter 8 in my book, Automation Domination, a Business Owner's Guide to Dominating Your Market Online. So the title is The Free, Not So Free Traffic. If you don't have it, pick it up. It's available all over the web and at probably major retailers near you. So the focus of search engine optimization in this presentation is really how do you stand out in the search results and drive qualified customers to your website. So that second part is really the main goal. You really want to drive qualified customers or clients or patients, depending on your business niche, to your website, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter how they get there. You just want them to come there and engage with you, and be able to do that and get people to your website. So these are successful SEO strategies for small businesses. So first, why even care about SEO or search engine optimization? Really, because it's the most popular is why you should care about it, and people use it. 93% of online experiences begin with the search engines. And on the local level, which I gather most of you are that are listening to this, on the local level, 97% of consumers start online. That's research, finding locations, finding products. You really need to be on there. And the majority of web traffic is driven, obviously, by the big three: Google, Bing, and Yahoo. Google has had, a big long run as the dominant player. Bing and Yahoo share a lot of the same search results and algorithms, and they are actually trying to, you probably noticed there's a lot of commercials for Bing on TV. You probably see it all over the internet. They're making a big push to try to take back some of that market share that Google stole from them. So they are still very important. Most local marketers will focus on what Google says, because if whatever Google says, if they're the majority, as high as 60 to 70% market share, you definitely want to follow them. And Bing and Yahoo are going to follow suit with what they do anyway. And 77% of people actually choose organic listings over the paid listings. So this is another reason why you really want to pay attention to getting your organic listings up and going, is because if you're focusing only on that 23% that are going after paid, you're going after a very small amount. And like I mentioned before, this is free traffic. So you can have 1,000 people, once you're on that first page, go to your site, for the same amount that you had 5 people. That's not like paid search. There's a time and place for both of them, and you actually should be doing all of them. But if you talk to individuals, I talk to a lot of business owners, a lot of people. Most of them tell me they do not click on ads. Obviously, Google is a billion-dollar company, so people are clicking on the ads, but you can see that majority of them actually prefer the organic. It's a little bit more natural. They figure it's Google suggesting the best of the best to them rather than somebody actually paying for it, and they don't like to be sold. How about organic versus sponsored? Organic actually has 25% higher conversion rate than PPC ads. So that's another huge reason, and a lot of that comes back to not wanting to be sold. You don't, a TV ad. People can say what they want to say because they're paying for it. Radio spot, billboards, paid advertising online, display ads. All of those are paid, and your consumers know that. Again, I'm not saying you don't need to be there, but you also need to be in the organic listing. Here's another reason. It's called the golden triangle. So this is what's referred to as a heat map. And if you look at this, you can see that the majority of people spend their time in the top left corner. That's called the golden triangle. So if you can get your ad up there, and there's no surprise that that's usually, it's not for this particular search, but that's usually where the paid ads show up. So Google is dummy when they're putting up their ads. They do a lot of testing. They know exactly where people spend their time, where their eyes go. So that's the most expensive ads are right there in the red up here. And then you can see people also do come over here. These are actually paid ads over here. But you notice that down here in those first 3 or 4 organic searches, now these all happen to be organic, but those 3 or 4 people are actually spending a lot of time there as opposed to down further on the bottom. So you want to get up as high as possible. Ranking, you can argue matters, doesn't matter anymore. Google's made a lot of changes, and they continue to make a lot of changes to their search engine result or SERP screen, where they're adding things like the number of stars for reputation. They're adding people's photos for authorship. They're changing around the colors, testing with that. They're doing map listings. They're doing carousel listings. So they're doing all sorts of different ways of displaying those results in order to satisfy you and I as the consumer of their product, which is coming up with the best possible answer to our questions. So a lot of times, I get this, question, is SEO, search engine optimization, is that legit? And, there are, is it magic? Is it, snake oil, dark art? Is there's something, spammy? Is there something bad about it? If you ask Google, they'll tell you they don't endorse it, right? Because they want you to do pay-per-click. However, since the first people learned that they can influence the search engines by tweaking their page and doing some off-page, this has become a very great way to make sure that if you're not doing it, everybody else is going to be doing it. But there's really nothing illegal about it. There's no search engine optimization police. Now, where it does start to become a little bit of unethical or spammy is what is referred to as black hat SEO. So as you can imagine, black hats probably means not good. This is the unethical, spammy, very high risk way of doing search engine optimization. Now, back in the day, black hat used to be really common. Building backlinks from blog farms and getting backlinks from just anywhere. Not really caring the quality of those backlinks, putting low quality content, very keyword stuffed content. And these are all the changes that Google has made with the penguin and panda, the hummingbird update. All of these different named updates are really targeting these black hat type SEO companies and strategies. And the reason they're high risk is you get on the ban list from Google or the punishment list, it not only affects your one site, it might affect any future sites that you put up about your brand or your company. Google knows a lot about you, and they also know what servers you're actually running on. So if somebody else on your server, where your website is hosted, is doing some black hat and spammy and unethical things, you also could be punished. So this is, a reason that kind of have your own dedicated server, from somebody either you control or someone that controls, and pays attention to these things to make sure that nobody's doing anything. So the opposite of black hat is obviously white hat. So this is the ethical, Google approved. I put that in, kind of quotes there, because Google, if you ask them about search engine optimization, says, don't do that, do paid. But it's a lot more user focused. You're not really trying to go out there and influence Google directly. By trying to provide high quality content and really user focus and really trying to provide value, Google's going to notice that, and then you're going to be rewarded for that. So with white hat, you really don't have to worry about these penalties that are coming out when Google does make those changes. Now, Google has a lot of smart people working for them. There's a lot of smart people trying to find ways around theirs. But it's really just best to go in it with more of the white hat idea. Just go in it the ethical way, user focused, provide a tremendous amount of value. So let's take a look at how search engines work. A lot of people don't understand that, and I think you need to know how they work, from the behind the scenes, and that way you will know when we suggest things or when you read things if that really is something that you need to be focusing on. So first, a little disclaimer here. I'm going to get a little bit technical, try to stay pretty high level, but you do need to get in there and really understand this. If you don't want to hear any of this, you're probably in the market for a search engine optimization company, but you really should still know what they're actually doing behind the scenes, so you can actually know, are they white hat or are they black hat or gray hat, somewhere in between. If they're just out there doing it and you don't understand it, then they could be taking advantage and actually hurting your brand. So you may or may not be familiar with what this picture is, depends how old you are, but this is actually a card catalog from a library. And back in the day, you used to have to go look up different books. And if you wanted to find a book by an author or whatever, you would go to this big old card catalog and you would search based on first name, last name, a bunch of different things, and you would be able to find what you were looking for. This is exactly how search engines work. They just do it, millions upon millions of times faster and millions of times during the day. They go out to websites and they figure out what is actually your site is about, and they index that. And that's how they're able to return those results so fast. They basically have built an electronic version of every single website that they think has an importance. So when you type in your information that you're looking for, they can return that back almost instantaneously. So there's things called robots, most commonly called spiders. They go out there and they crawl all these sites, and they basically create this index of web pages. So what are they looking for? What are these spiders or these robots looking for? Really, they're looking for relevance and importance. Again, we are Google's prime user. They want, when we search, we want to find things that are relevant and important. So keep that in mind when you're building your own web page. You don't really want to be spammy and keyword stuffing if the person who ends up finding you, the one who is actually going to buy, right? The robots aren't going to buy from you, or the spiders are not going to buy from you. Real flesh and blood humans are actually going to buy from you. Your site has to be relevant and important to them. So a couple of things that they look for. Does the page address the query? And the query is the search. That's also, the query is another term for it. That's what Google looks for. When somebody types in a phrase, does your page actually address that query? Is it a problem? Do you address the problem? Do you talk about the problem? Is it a product? Do you have that product? Next, they look, is that page popular? And if you go back to one of the trainings I had, it's high school all over again. This is where PageRank comes in. Not PageRank as in when does it rank for a particular keyword, but PageRank on overall authority for a particular topic. And by being popular means other sites are linking to you, which is often referred to as a backlink. And then the popularity equals the importance according to Google. So the more popular your site, the more important it must be, the more relevant it must be. So therefore it should show higher. Now they are starting to move away from backlinks. Google has not come out and said this, but people start seeing that they're starting to put a little bit more weight into other information like content, right? Content's always been important, but it's becoming more and more important. So keep these in mind as we work through. And ultimately, what does Google want? They want, even though it's not out of the goodness of their hearts, Google wants users to be happy with their searching, so they'll return again and again, so they can display ads to them. And then some of those ads they will click on, about 25% or so will click on ads, and then Google will get paid anywhere between 10 cents and $150, depending on what keyword and what niche it is for that, returning that. So it's Google's not just doing this for free; they're doing it for their advertisers, and really basically down to the bottom line, which is their advertising dollars. But if you keep that all in mind, that Google really is looking for that relevance and importance, then you will be making sure that you are providing that relevance and importance to the user, and then you will be rewarded for that. So let's go through a little bit of how people actually use search. You probably know some of this information since you are a searcher yourself. But we want to have a little bit of empathy when we're going through this. That here is the real process. So first, we all start out with a need for an answer, a solution, or a piece of information that we're looking for. You might be sitting around at a party. Somebody stumped everybody with, who is this actor in this movie? We all pull out our phones and we jump on Google and we type in some information that we feel is going to get us that answer as fast as possible. If there's 5 people, 5 of us will search different ways, hopefully all coming up with the right answer. It might be a different web page that comes up to get that answer. You might be looking for a solution. You might have a plumbing problem, right? You need an immediate solution. Your basement's flooding. Or you might be looking for a solution of, I need a massage, right? My neck's hurting. I'm looking for a spa, or to get my hair done for a wedding. Those are different things that you might be looking for. So that's the first thing, is we have this problem, right? We're looking for an answer, a solution, or a piece. Next, number 2 here, we have to formulate that need into words or phrases. And those are really what the keywords become. They become short phrases where a lot of us remove what is referred to as stop words, in and the and to, and we just type in different things like spa, College Station, not spas in College Station, right? But you just spa, College Station, and we say, okay, Google should be able to figure that out, or Bing or Yahoo. So we enter that into the search engine, and then, almost instantaneously we get thousands, if not millions, of results. Most of us never venture past page 1, also known as no man's land after page 1. And then we browse through those results for a match, right? We click on some of those results, come up with a page, and we quickly, within 3 seconds or so, scan for a solution or a link to that solution. And if we're unsatisfied and that page did not keep us there for that 3 to 5 seconds, we click the back button and go back to the search results. Right there, that process coming back, that's considered a bounce. That's that bounce rate that I've talked about before. You want to keep that under 50%. Google does look at that for ranking purposes, because it essentially means the user did not find what they were looking for of that keyword. Now Google knows, okay, someone typed in that keyword, I sent them to your page, and they came back, and they wanted to find something else, right? They didn't come back and go type in another word, right? If they did that, Google knows, okay, then it wasn't a bounce. But if they go and click on another link, Google's tracking all that, and they know, okay, I just sent them over for spas or for massages, and they came right back. pretty fast. So that site must not be an authority for that particular keyword, and that's when you start dropping in their index. And that's where that number 8, perform a new search with a new keyword. Sometimes, we see that we need to narrow our search down. Right? It didn't come back with the results that we thought were going to come back. So the keywords you really want to do is you want to think like your customer, and you want these. The intention should be a buying keyword. Right? I have an example here: massage versus spa or salon. Spa or salon, they might be looking for a massage, but if you give massages and you're in a spa and they're actually type in the word massage, they're actually looking for a massage, right? You want them to land on your massage page. Spa or salon, they could be doing a lot of other things. They could be doing some research, or they actually could be looking for a spa or salon. You just need to understand the difference of keywords. I use the example a lot of a plumber, like fix leaky toilet, or plumber, right? People type in plumber, they're not looking for how to become a plumber. They need a plumber, right? So you need to know that. And we want to build for people, not for search engines. I've mentioned this several times. I'm going to keep mentioning it. Write your content, build your website for the people. They're the ones, the flesh and blood, that are actually going to buy your products or services, not the robots. The robots are only going to get people there. But if you write it for people, you're actually will have a much better chance of showing up. So, how to be a good host. Let's go over some best practices for designing and developing for SEO or search engine optimization and standing out. So first, it's a little bit small, but this is what the spider or the robot sees. This is a computer program that's hitting your website. They don't get to see what the layout looks like from as humans look at it. They actually look at the source code behind the scenes, and then they use very complex algorithms to go through that source code, figure out what it is, what it's about, and categorize it or index it. So a very well programmed website has a much better and higher chance of being ranked than a poorly created one. So a lot of templates out there, free templates, they're really disjointed, a lot of bugs in them, maybe even some malware that's hidden in there that you can't see. Guess what? The spiders can see all that. And when it's not well programmed, again, it's another signal to Google and the other search engines that something might not be quite right with your site. So if you're going to use a site or a developer, make sure it's very high quality code. No bugs, no error messages, especially no spammy links or hidden links in there. That's just not good at all. So let's look at how spiders get around. So you saw that they landed your code, and then they really just walk through your code and try to figure out how to get to all the pages, which is, the little hyperlinks that you see. Google's able to find those. Now I'm just going to use Google for my examples, but Google's able to find those, and then they're actually able to go from the home page in this example, page A, there's a link to page B. So they're able to go to page B, right? And then on page B, there might be no more links. So they're done. Oh, but then they go back to page A, and there's a link to page E. Then they're able to get to page E. But what about these orphan ones over here, C and D? They don't have any links. How is the search engine ever going to find them? So this goes back to the structuring of your site to make a nice sound structure like a table of contents would be in a book. If you had a table of contents and you forgot to tell them about chapter 4 in the table of contents, unless somebody reads from beginning to end, they will never find chapter 4, right? If they're just skimming through your book. Google is just going to skim through your book. They're coming to your homepage, and they're going to find all the links, and they're going to follow the links wherever those links are going to take them. But C and D are going to be very hard for them to find. I'm not going to say they're impossible, because they will find them eventually, based on a lot of other tactics. But you want to help the spiders get around, or robots. So what are spiders and robots? What do they actually? What are some ways that we can actually help them get around besides creating the nice links in between them? We can also create what is referred to as a sitemap, and this is what you can actually submit to Google Webmaster Tools, where you can tell them all the different pages that you have. So this is a way that those orphan pages can be found. And there's a lot of free tools out there depending on which website you're using and which framework you're using, but to build these sitemaps to submit to Google. And it tells them things like what's the URL, how often do you think it's going to change, when it was last modified, and then the priority. Um, Google does use these, but obviously people were able to fake. Again, back to that black hat thing. A lot of these things I'm going to show you now, you still need to do them, but they just hold a little bit less weight than they used to hold. Because people figured out, oh, Google's using sitemaps. Let's go and manipulate those and tell them we have all these other pages that we really don't have, and tell them they change daily even though they don't change. So they're still used. To what extent we don't know, but we need to keep using them because we know that Google still uses them. But you still got to do the high quality content um, and other good information for the user. Auto pinging is a way to notify not only Google but a lot of other search engines and search farms and other robots, because there's a ton of search engines out there. It's just not the big three, but there's a ton of them out there. But auto pinging actually, here's a list of a couple of them, will notify everybody on the web who wants to listen to them that you have produced some new content. So after and there's a lot of plugins for this, again, depending on which framework you use, but after you post a blog article, for example, if you went and pinged all the major ones, say there was 150, 200 pinging sites, and you ping them and basically said, hey, look over here, I just made a change, right? Eventually they'll come find you, right? We don't know how frequent that's going to be. It really depends on a lot of factors like the number of people, how often they come, how long they stay, to figure out how often Google's going to do it. But if you don't do pinging, you're just kind of at the mercy of waiting for the search engines to come out. So it's a very important piece. Let's talk about the URL structure or the address bar. So in the bottom here, you can see that it says www.copyblogger / that is what's referred to as the URL or your website address. Couple rules on here. You want them to be short. And I put in here with the exception of blog articles. You want them to be short so you can give it to somebody, right? Or you can type it in. There's a ton of shorteners out there now for all the social media sites, so really not needed for that. But if you want to tell somebody to, hey, for example, I want somebody to go out and register for this webinar. It's iMarketingleader.com / register. Now that's not the actual domain. I re-forward that to a big long, domain. So it's really a shortener on that. But you want to keep things shorter if you need to explain them. The longer ones are the blog article titles, and that's where you get a little bit more description in there. If you're looking for spas, again, you might have the word massage in there, the word spa, or word salon, because that might be the title of the blog article. Now that's going to be in the URL. Again, Google used to use that a lot. They use that a lot less now, but it's still important. So putting those keywords into the title is important. You want it to be static and not the dynamic kind. So the first one there is mywebsite.com blog $ID equals. That is not descriptive, readable, or anything else. That is a very dynamic one. It's very hard for Google to want to index one of those because that ID can change. But you want to do something more along the lines of the second one where it's / and something very descriptive on there. And you want to use hyphens, not the plus sign or the under bar or underscore, depending on what part of the country you come from. Depends what kind of what you call that. But use dashes in there as an example on the bottom with the copy blogger SEO site quality. That's for readability. It's not needed. It could be SEO site quality, right? Google can figure out what that is. But you want to, for readability, you could use that. So how do you actually go about feeding these spiders? And that's through content and content creation. You need to focus on who your buyer is. So again, I've said this before, but it's kind of worth repeating here. Know who your buyer is. It's the flesh and blood person that it's actually going to take action on your site, not the spiders. So write for the users and not for the search engines. So ways to do that. You want to create compelling content, kind of the carrot and the stick. You don't want to use when it's referred as link bait, bait and switch. You really want to offer some amazing, true value. You can entertain, and as well as educate. People want to be educated out there. They want to be educated on your product or your service. If they're searching for it, that means they're in the market for your product or service. They might not be a buyer today, but if they're looking for that, you should educate them on not only why they need your product or service, but why you are the best one for that. And then we also all want to be entertained. So that's very important as well. But very key, always offer true value. So it all starts with keyword research. And I'm going to go over a little bit here on keyword research. This could be like an entirely different um, 1 hour, maybe even 5 hour discussion on the best way to do keyword research. But at the end of the day, you want to know what your customers or consumers are typing in and how competitive that is from for your particular phrase. Google has rolled out their new keyword tool. If you just Google keyword tool, you'll find it. You'll need an AdWords account, which is free to use it. They've made a lot of changes to that in the last year. It's become a lot better. There's a lot of other paid services, and there's some free services out there to do this. But ultimately, a lot of them go and get their information from Google. They have an open API, which means you can go get all that data. So a lot of those other tools, they might just be a little bit more user friendly. So find one that you like, whether it's the free ones like Google or a paid one. But what you want to do is you want to do some keyword research. You should be able to type in a phrase that you just want to start. For example, whatever your product or service is, and then plus the city, and maybe the state, depending on if there's a lot of cities. So, for example, spa, College Station, and then the keyword tool will go out and find a bunch of different words and related searches based on what Google says. These are some other information that you might want to go after. And then you can look at that competition. Is it high, very highly competitive? What's the monthly search volume? And then you want to rank those based on the order to know what really you should be going after. Next, let's talk about frequency. We want to keep Google coming back for more. You really can't move up in the ranks if your site is ignored. And the only way that Google knows to come back to your site is when the site's been updated. If the site has not been updated since the last time Google looked at your site, which could be, maybe they come back every month in the beginning. And if your site isn't updated, then Google thinks they know everything about you. They have no reason to come back. But however, when they do come back, whenever they come back, if your site has changed, now you get put on the watch list. Okay, well, they changed it. Oh, wow, they changed a lot. Maybe I need to keep coming back more often. And obviously, the more traffic that you get to your site, that's why a pay-per-click campaign could be very useful for bringing up a brand new site, is you can drive a lot of customers to your site using a Google tool and for particular keywords, and let Google know you need to look at my site. And that can help pull you up in the organic rankings. So again, freshness, high quality content is a key here. Here are some other ways that you can actually jump ahead of your competition is through video. Google owns YouTube, if you did not know that. But video, they used to rank a lot better than they do now. Again, a lot of black hat people, and even not black hat. I mean, we just figured out how to rank videos very fast. So Google's changed a lot of their algorithms. Videos don't rank nearly as fast as they used to, but they still rank. So they're very good for competitive niches, and they don't need to be very high quality, right? They don't need to be professional videos. They should be great quality, like content-wise. But if you shoot it on your iPhone, as long as it's not bouncing all over the place, you should be able to provide value. Again, the video is for the people. And try to get that ranked. But a video by itself is not going to get ranked. There's a description and a title and keywords and all those other pieces, elements of video, and we'll go over that when I go over the video presentation here in 3 or 4 weeks. A couple other things you can do is people love lists. We love lists of the 7 of this, the 4 of this, the 18 or the 6. Here are a couple examples of ones. That's great quality content. People know exactly by reading the headline what to expect. Do they want to know the 18 global conspiracies, right? Then they're going to read it. They want to know the 4 least anticipated albums of the week. Then then they'll know that they can go ahead and read that. Do you want to know the 5 benefits of a massage? Then they're going to go ahead and read that. So let's get a little bit more technical again, but it's not super technical. But really, again, Google still uses these, but they're not nearly as high of um, value again to them because they're easy to manipulate. So this is an example of a search engine result. You can see up here in the blue, which, again, this changes from day to day with Google depending on what they want to do. But up here in the blue, this is the title of that page. And then down here is an example of what the code actually looks like behind the scenes. Now, most frameworks like WordPress completely hide a lot of this information from you. But if you're doing straight up HTML programming, you'll need to know this. Or if you have an in-house developer, you'll need to know this. But the title, that's very important. The URL, obviously Google finds that and gets that. And then the description, and that's actually a meta tag, and that's what it looks like. You can see that's the exact description here. Now, both of these have recommendations based on from Google. Is you don't want to go in the title and type in 200 or 300 characters, right? And that, lately it's been keep it under 70 characters. In the descriptions, you can see anything ranging from 150 to 175 characters. But again, you want that to be short and very descriptive and answer to the point. Because again, this is what the user is going to see when they're doing some searching. So they're going to look at the title, obviously. Most likely they will not look at the URL because that means nothing to most people. And then they're going to read this short little snippet here, which is an example of, is that a page I want to go visit? So this should be a very compelling, again, around that 140 to 160 characters, telling the user what your page is actually about. Next, Google is blind to pictures, right? They can't look at a picture and know what it's about. So you have to give them some pieces of information about the picture. One way of doing that is through the alt tag here. And again, using WordPress or another framework, they make this very simple to do, but you want to put something descriptive in there. Again, don't put hundreds of characters in there. But for an example, in this one, it's a smiley, so it's a smiley face. Okay, now Google knows, okay, that's a picture of a smiley face. If someone later on has that same photo and it's not a smiley face, now Google knows that you basically lied to them. So be descriptive in here, and um, you know, but make sure that all of your images have this alt tag, because without that, Google knows there's a picture there, but they really have no idea what that picture is about. Let's talk briefly here towards the end about off-page optimization. So this is again on the popularity side of things. So this is all about link building, having other sites point back to your site, but they must be relevant, right? We don't want spammy backlinks. Those will be found by Google, if not today or tomorrow, eventually, and your website will be punished. So make sure that if you're doing this, or if you have another SEO company doing this for you, that they are very reputable and they're actually building links from credible resources here. Now, here's the thing about links. Back in the day, you can put up a website, put up 10,000 links in the first month, and Google would say, wow, you must be popular. Well, today they know if you put up a brand new website, 10,000 people are not going to link back to your content. So they must be very methodical, but they must be realistic, right? If brand new website, don't go put 20, 30, 40, even 50 links in 1 month. That's not realistic. Google will flag you down and then punish you severely for that. So make it realistic. If you have a brand new website, or even if you have an existing website that's been around for a long time and you don't have a lot of backlinks, which there's a lot of tools to figure out how many backlinks you have, just go Google how many backlinks do I have. And if you have 0 or a very low number, again, don't go crazy building these things. Over time, you'll be able to do a lot more. You want to be social. Go out there to share all your links, right? If you post some new content, go out to Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, stumble upon all these different ones, Google Plus, and start linking back to that. First of all, you get some real interaction from real people, and then Google will also eventually is going to start finding these social links. Today they say they don't use that for ranking purposes, but you got to know that that's coming down if they're not already doing it. And Google does have sometimes they kind of tell you one thing and do something else, but you want to be social with your content. And you should be posting on your social sites 2 to 4 times a day anyway. That's coming down in training in a couple weeks about all about social media and the frequency and but for now, just know that you need to be out there sharing it. Start a blog. This is back to that freshness. One way to keep fresh is just write a little bit about your industry, write a little bit about what's going on in the industry, give tips. Again, back to that list building, 7 tips, 5 tips, 3 tips, give information, do some promotions on your site. But a great way to do that is through a blog. And just remember, you want to be doing it a frequency that you can keep up with, and it should be high quality, fresh content. Next thing you want to do is the directories. You want to go out to all these different directories and make sure your name, address, phone number, website, images, they're all listed in there, because those are all links back to your website, and those are legitimate links. You can go out today and go out to the 50, 60, 100 directories and point it back to your website, and Google will say, okay, that's good. They're in these directories. They're not going to think that's spammy that you went out to 100 different directories. Google knows what sites are directories and which ones are just a forum or wherever where you might get a link back. And the last thing here is, remember, this is SEO is a process, not an event. A lot of times I sit down with a client and they're like, okay, so what is this, like 3 months, 6 months, and then I can stop paying for this? And the answer is no. Unless you want your site to stop being ranked and stop being relevant, because other people are out there doing these processes. Now, you don't necessarily need to keep paying somebody to do that if you want to take over all the work they were doing for that, but you need to keep doing all the things we talked about in this training here. You need to keep doing those forever, right? And the process can change over time, and that's why it's really good to work with an SEO company that's going to be on top of what's changing and actually be ahead of it. Kind of notice those things, because it is changing all the time. If you're still out there building a bunch of spammy backlinks, you're doing yourself a disservice, or if your SEO company is doing that for you, because even if it's not punishing you today, it's going to in the near future. Just remember, this is not just a one-time event or a very short sprint. This is a marathon. You're in this for the long haul. You're a business. You're building your real estate empire online. This is going to be a sellable asset if you ever want to sell your business. So, as I like to do here, let's go through some action steps, some takeaways. Again, we want to change. We don't want to stay the same. So first, you need to determine, are you going to go in this alone, or are you going to hire an SEO company? If you're going to hire an SEO company, hey, I'd like to throw my company's hat in the ring there to give us a call and see how we can help you out. But if you're going to go in alone, do some education, rewatch this webinar, go through some of these steps, pick up my book. I go into some detail, a little bit more on a couple of these different ways of doing things. There's a couple different white papers out there, but there's a lot of education out there. Just make sure it's very white hat. So that second one there, if you are going to use an SEO company, ask for referrals, and just remember, cheaper may indicate lower quality. Think black hat here. We all get the emails. I do myself. $100 to get you on the first page of Google, $200. I can tell you right now, there is no white hat way of getting you on the first page for $100. Right? That's complete black hat, spammy. They're going to take your money, and they will be long gone when Google comes down and punishes you severely for doing those things. So just remember, you don't have to go pay $5,000 a month unless you're in a very high quality or a high competitive niche, or you're nationwide. But you're also not going to pay that $100 to $200 to $300 a month. Real white hat SEO takes time, and it takes people time. It's not done by a program. So there's some money involved. Step 3, you want to do research for buyer keywords. So again, go out and just use Google keyword tool for right now and do some research on um, some buyer keywords and start writing some high quality content around those. Just remember to focus on writing it for people, not for the search engines. Number 4, go claim all the local directories. You can go out to automationdominationbook.com/top directories, and that will get you a list of the current top directories. And I try to keep that updated as these directories change, because as you know, everything changes online, including what directories are the most important. And finally, step 5, once you have your plan, you need to implement that plan. You don't want to just sit back, because your competition is out there actually doing things. You want to move ahead and in a methodical, planned way, but you need to get started. So again, if you're looking for some more information or if you have any questions, here's our contact information on the screen here, leader@imarketingleader.com, or you can give us a call and schedule an appointment. We would love to do a free evaluation for you or your company. So go ahead and give us a call. And with that, I'm going to let you get back to your day. I'm going to get back to my day. Thank you very much. And next week, we're going to be going over pay-per-click. So if you're interested in other traffic ways and more immediate traffic ways, please join us next week. Or if you're watching us on recording, it might already have been passed. So watch the next recording on pay-per-click. So thank you all very much. Again, this is Todd McPartlin with iMarketing Leader. Make it a great day.